Have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? I know I did before I started this. I had tons of questions that I didn't have the answers to. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps people, like to listen to? How do I make money off of it? Really, and all these answers were simply answered by Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use, and I cannot specify that enough. It is so easy, especially for somebody like me. I'm lazy. Although I am tech savvy and I can do all this manually myself, I don't want to. So it's great. And now Anchor can match you up with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. So that means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. And, as people listen to this ad and listen to my podcast, I will get more and more money to this and, hopefully maybe be able to be self-efficient with this. So if you always want to start a podcast and make money, go to anchor.fm/start. It's anchor.fm/start to join me and a diverse community of podcasters already use Anchors. And can't wait to hear your podcast. Welcome to the Cowboy Club. Roll up. Let's take a rip. Never tell you the world is yours. Yeah, bish. Hello and welcome back. It's Cowboy Club MMA episode number 14. I was not able to do a preview episode of the Iaquinta versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone fights this past weekend on May 4th from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. I was traveling and I guess I just got lazy / had just other things going on, travel plans, work obviously. So I just didn't get the research in, so I didn't produce a preview episode. Wish I did, because there were some great fights, and if I did my research, may have had a couple bets here or there that I would have either made or altered. But that being said, go ahead and get in the recap of those fights. The first fight of the night and the prelims that were on ESPN Plus. All events were on ESPN Plus, or all fights were on ESPN Plus. First fight was between Mitch Gagon and Cole Smith. This is a good fight to start it out. In the first round, Cole Smith he got a quick takedown. Just had more grappling pressure. Then Gagon, I thought Mitch Gagon looked a little tired after the grappling pressure. He wasn't, wearing down or, exhausted to this point, but it seemed like the pressure and the heaviness of Cole Smith definitely got the better of him that round. So I gave Cole Smith first round. Second round, same thing. You got a takedown and kind of just held him there for a while. He just exhausted Gagon. He got his back. He actually had his back for about 2 minutes in that second round, so I gave him that second round as well. Come third round, Mitch Gagon actually stunned Cole Smith, but he was able to survive. Gagon actually had several submission attempts and almost caught. I can't remember the submission he put in. It might have been an arm bar. Essentially, Gagon, he was going for the finish. He knew he was down 2-0 and was just trying to get submission there. But I think he gassed out trying to get that one. It was either arm bar or it was a choke. And towards the end of the third round, Cole Smith ended up getting his back. I did give the round to Gagon just because he did stun him there, and it looked like he was very, very close to finishing that, so I gave the third round to him. Overall, I scored it 29-28 in favor of Smith's favor. 2 judges saw it the same way. The last one gave all 3 rounds to Smith, which I see as valid, so that's good there. It was a good fight to start off the night. Second fight, I don't know about this fight. I'd probably have to watch this again to have a less biased opinion. I guess just put on the record, I did have a parlay bet that involved this fight. I had Juan Adams. I also had Nordine Taleb, Macy Chiasson, and who was the last one? Oh, Matt Sales. It was the fight right after Juan Adams and Arsene Bueller. But second fight of the night was between Juan Adams and Arsene Bueller. I actually saw Adams compete in Milwaukee live. Watched him on Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender Series. I hadn't seen Arsene fight, but he's an Olympic wrestler. I wish I knew that beforehand. And I believe he's the only Indian on the UFC roster, only fighter on the UFC roster from India. In round 1, I thought Juan Adams had more forward pressure. It was a very close round. Not too much happened. There was really no wrestling attempts or grappling attempts by Arsene. But I gave the first round to Juan Adams if I had to score it to somebody. Initially I gave it 9-9, but I try not to do that because I know the judges don't give 9-9, so I try to, make it as close as possible to the rules they actually use. But I think from now on, I got to just go with what I think. And if I can't decidedly score a round, I'm just going to give it 9-9, as I've kind of touched on earlier in past episodes. See, that first round was back and forth. I could see that going either way for sure. Come second round, Arsene did get a single leg takedown, and he had good grappling pressure, and kept him there for a little bit, but it wasn't too long, and he did no damage whatsoever. He kind of just held Adams on his back, but it wasn't for very long, and Adams muscled his way to the feet pretty easily, without really using, I don't want to say easily, but I didn't expect it when he did it. But he is a big guy, big strong guy. And this round was weird as well. I initially scored it 10-9 just because Arsene had the takedown, and that was really it. But he did no damage whatsoever. I don't even think he landed a strike, let alone throw. He definitely didn't land a significant strike. I know that. But then I switched it to Juan Adams, 10-9, again there. Because when they got to the feet, he was the one pressuring and moving forward and actually, touching Arsene and doing damage. Whereas Arsene got him on the ground, which is cool. You hold a guy to the ground, you got him there, but you did no damage whatsoever. You just hold him there. Sure, if you hold him there for the whole round, then yeah, you definitely win the round. But you hold a guy down for 30 seconds and he gets up. I don't know. It's weird how to score that. So I don't know, and I was definitely a very biased fan of Juan Adams. I think he could potentially be heavyweight champion of the world one day. It's pretty early to say, but he's very athletic and strong. And he did wrestle at VMI, so he does have a wrestling background, and he did decent on the ground when he was on the ground, versus an Olympic level wrestler. Come third round, let's see. I gave the third round to Adams. It wasn't wishy-washy there. I definitely think the third round was his. He had more strikes and just more damage landed overall. He did get taken down by Arsene, and he had about a minute and a half of top control. But again, he did no damage. He just held him there. And this isn't wrestling. Yes, it's mixed martial arts, but I feel like you have to do damage or be, I don't know. He just, I don't know. But Yeah. Anyways, the judges ended up scoring it 29-28. Two of them scored at 29-28 in Arson's favor, and the third scored at 30-27 in his favor, which I was really shocked about. When I watched the fights, I did watch them on replay, but I did a pretty decent job of not looking at Twitter, social media, or my Sports Center updates, so it didn't spoil it for me. Did spoil the main event, but it didn't spoil watching it. So yeah, that second fight of the night fucking lost my 4-way parlay, and of course, the other 3 I got right. I thought the decision was bad. I thought 30-27 is just outrageous. I could see 28-29 either way, but I thought 30-27 is just ridiculous. I obviously have a wrestling judge or a guy that knows wrestling, but I don't know. I really think just because you hold a guy down doesn't really mean you win. You have to do damage. You have to be, you got to be putting that health bar, that stamina bar lower for the other guy. And I didn't think, he affected Juan Adams' stamina for sure and his ability to, have a high output. But I don't think he compromised him whatsoever or even brought that stamina bar low, considerably amount lower than, it would have been if he didn't get the takedown. But it is what it is. And we got great fights coming up this next week, so I'll just make it up there. The third fight of the night was between Kyle Nelson and Matt Sales in the 145 division. Get away from me, kitty. I love you too, but I'm busy. This was a good fight, good performance by Sales. This was Nelson's debut, I believe. Was it? No. Okay, it wasn't his debut, but he lost his debut. Second fight in the UFC. But anyways, first round, Sales, got a takedown, had some awesome ground and pound. He almost actually finished Nelson there in the beginning. And I thought he dominated the entire round, so I gave 10-8 to Sales that round. Come second round, while Nelson was on the ground, he did go for a couple leg locks, but as he was going for the leg locks, he was just getting his face pounded in, so it didn't really work. Hence why he got dominated. I gave it 10-8. Come second round, Kyle Nelson actually got a takedown and ground control and almost actually had a rear naked choke sunk in there versus Sales. So I actually thought he won that round. So I gave it 10-9 to Nelson the second. Come the third round, Sales had good takedown defense. He actually, I believe, he stuffed the takedown and then reversed the position, got on top, and then eventually Nelson gave up his back, he didn't give up his back. He got him with the head and arm choke. So he got on top of him, got on mount, and then he sunk in that hard head and arm choke, I remember now. So it was a great performance by Sales. I wish Adams won before then, so that would have kept my parlay bet going, but it is what it is. He got that finish 3 minutes and 15 seconds into the third. So congrats to him. And he did not get a performance bonus, I couldn't remember. For the fourth fight of the night, it was between Nordine Talib and CR Bahadurzada. Definitely probably butchered that, but sorry. Nordine Talib, I believe he had a long layoff between this fight and his last. Essentially, that's the wrong one. And he looked really smooth out there, Nordine, like super smooth. First round, I think he just outpointed him. They both kind of respected each other and were, kind of measuring their skills, getting a feel for each other. But I think Nordine outpointed him, got that round. Through the entire fight, he was just fast, accurate, and his defense was really smooth. CR's was really smooth, but Nordine's was just on another level. Round 2, I think it was just more of the same. Outpointed him, got the better of him. And honestly, I think CR was just outmatched, but he just kept pushing forward. Dude was tough as nails, and he had a heart out there, and showed some good fight versus a fighter that I think could definitely be, even though 170 is pretty stacked, I think he could definitely at least make a case for being a top 15 guy. And I would like to see Nordine fight a guy on that top 15 cusp and see, really test him out. He had great body and leg kicks and just used his length as his advantage, and just his technique and his overall athleticism. Just every tool was just better, and he just that's why I had him and my parlay bet as well. He's a very very high favorite. So I believe, all judges scored it 30-27, and I scored it the same. I gave all 3 rounds to Nordine. Great performance by him. The next fight was between Ayman and Zahabi and Vincent Morales. I don't remember too much of this fight. Amin Zahabi, because he's Firas Zahabi's brother. He trains with his brother, obviously. First round, I just think Amin just didn't engage. He had very good defense, and so did Vincent Morales. They were both very quick and slipping their opponent's strikes, and gauging, adjusting the distance. When an opponent would throw a fucking strike, they would move just out of the way, and they were able to counter back. But when they would counter, the other guy would move just out of the way. It was kind of a boring fight. If you just like seeing heavyweights, in slobber knockers and knocking each other out, you don't like the technical aspect of a fight because you don't understand it, and you would just get your ass rocked in a real fight. So would I, but I don't know. It annoys me when I hear fans boo or saying, "Oh, this is a boring fight. They're not even fighting." Yeah, it's a fucking fight, bro. They're not trying to get hit. That's the name of the game. But yeah, both these guys had great footwork, and just great striking defense. And I think really here, Zahabi just didn't engage as much. So I gave the first round to Morales. He just had more of output in that first round. Come second round, Firas Zahabi's brother, did get a takedown, but he didn't do any damage with it. And when they were on the feet, Vincent Morales just had more and better strikes overall, so I gave him the second round as well. And round 3, I think it was just more of the same, and I thought he just outpointed him the entire match. I gave all 3 rounds to Vincent Morales. All 3 judges scored 29-28, and they gave the decision to Morales. So I'm guessing maybe that second round they gave to Amin just for that takedown. But again, I don't think, yes, if nothing's happening in the fight and the other guy doesn't, fight back, he's not trying to pull off submissions, or he's not, he didn't do anything on the stand-up. I think just because you take a guy, yes, taking a guy down's hard, especially, they're trying to defense it, obviously. But just the takedown in itself shouldn't win the round, I think it should be a little more than that. Like, if you get a guy on takedown, yeah, if you can control him for 2 to 3 minutes, or, a majority of the round, yeah, that's huge. But if you only control him for 30 seconds to a minute, and you don't throw any strikes, you don't have any ground and pound, no damage, you don't go for a submission, you don't try to advance position, the guy just essentially gets you in his guard, wraps his legs around you, holds, when he's on the bottom, he'll wrap your arms around your back, and so you're not able to move or do anything, and then he gets right back up to his feet. I don't know. The takedown should obviously still count, but, if you have I don't know. I don't know. That's how I'm going to end that. I don't know. I guess I just need to keep watching more and just bettering my skills. But as far as, critiquing and dissecting these fights, But yeah, I thought it was a good performance by Morales, and I'd like to see him versus some stiffer competition. Not saying, Zahabi's bad, but I thought he just looked in and out there, and he just, I don't know, didn't seem like he wants to fight. But I don't know, so I don't want to say that about anybody I didn't know, but that's what I saw. Come the feature prelims between Sarah Moraz and Macy Chiasson. This is a good fight. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. Huge fan of Macy Chiasson. I think she could definitely be potentially a 135 champ one day. Maybe after Amanda Nunes retires, because there's no way they'd be able to fight right now, and Nunes would probably drop anybody in the world. Not probably, she can, because she fucking dropped Cyborg. She disposed of her pretty quickly in about 40 seconds or so. But I think Macy definitely has all the talent and potential in the world. I should have looked up Sarah Moraes. There's Moraes and Morales and Moras. My words are all getting jumbled together. But first round, Morris came out and got a takedown really, really quick. Within like the first 5 seconds, she shot for a takedown and got it, and had about 4 minutes of top position. But she didn't do any damage really. And I guess this is where I'll make even a case for this. I don't know how the judges scored this fight because they ended up getting finished in the second round. But the first round, essentially Morris controlled the entire top. She controlled top position for, a good 4 minutes there. But she did no damage whatsoever. She was throwing little rabbit punches and, just kind of making sure she still held, top ground position. But while Macy was on her back, she showed a very, very good defensive guard using her long legs to wrap her legs around her opponent. And, she would work her legs up towards her head and possibly get an arm bar or a triangle choke. So I thought that was really impressive to see, because we know Macy can strike with the best of them. She's very long and lengthy, and she's very good at using that length, and her striking is dominant and powerful. And then, Sarah did have 4 minutes top position, but that last minute there, Macy reversed it and had a minute of herself in top position. And when she was in that minute of ground in that position, she got off some big ground and pound, some big heavy punches, and they were definitely stunned Sarah, and definitely was the most damaging part of that round. And I thought most prominent. Yeah, it was just the most prominent part of that first round. So I actually gave, even though Macy was on her back for 4 minutes, I gave her that first round because I think she was doing more. Although she was on her back for, most of it for 4 minutes, while she was on her back, she was attempting submissions and having a whole very, very good defensive guard on her back, holding her opponent in full guard with their legs and working up, trying to attempt submissions, as I said earlier, and I'm just repeating myself now. But, she never got complacent and seemed, and I'm not saying Sarah Moraz did, but she didn't do anything with that top position. If Macy had been in top position for 4 minutes, she would fucking finish the fight by then. As we saw later in the second round. Come the second round, it was pretty clear that Sarah had been, tagged and hadn't been hurt by just that minute there of ground and pound at the end of the round. And, she came out again in the second round trying to get a takedown. Macy defended it, got top position, got mount after about 20 seconds, and, just laid some great ground and pound on her and finished her. She just looked like she was possessed, after the 4 minutes sitting on her back. I don't know if something switched or she just realized that her opponent, just wasn't there anymore and she had withered. She just looked possessed and she fucking finished it. It was great. So good she got a performance bonus, so congrats, an extra $50,000 in your pocket. And a great way to close out the prelims and get to the main card. Main card starting out was Marc-Andre Baralt versus Andrew Sanchez. First round was close, but I thought Marc-Andre outpointed Andrew Sanchez. Oh no, that's backwards. I'm sorry, I said that backwards. So it was a close round, but Andrew Sanchez did have 2 takedowns, and I thought he landed more strikes that round. So just overall, he had more tallies or more points in his name for that round. So I gave the first round to him. Come the second round, Marc-Andre had some big punches and defended Sanchez's takedowns. Sanchez got stunned, and it looked like he was going to finish, or Marc-Andre, was going to finish it there. Sanchez did trade, still back and forth, stayed in the pocket, stayed alive somehow. And then come the third round, so the second round I gave to Marc-Andre. But then come the third round, Sanchez got a takedown and had a lot of good grappling pressure and pressure against the cage. And I think that ultimately won him the fight, and won him the round and the fight altogether. I scored it 29-28 in Sanchez's favor. So did all 3 judges. Come this next fight, Walt Harris versus Sergey Spivak. And yeah, this was basically over before it started. Harris basically just Sergey was just kind of circling away and backing away, and Harris was like, all right, cool, this is what I do. Steadily move forward patiently, and then just once he got him against the cage, just let his hands go. And he had some quick, powerful punches, especially at fucking heavyweight. And it was essentially over before it started. Walt Harris was originally scheduled to fight Alexei Oleinik on this card, I believe. But Oleinik, of course, ended up fighting Overeem when, God, who dropped out? I forget who dropped out of the fight, but after this fight, after Walt Harris won, he called out Justin Willis and Alexei Oleinik. So I'd like to see either of those fight. Walt Harris looked really good. He's number 9, so I think if he fights either of those guys, it's going back in the rankings, but the rankings are kind of bullshit. A win versus either of those guys would be great for your career. So was this one. He got a performance bonus, obviously. He starched the guy pretty quickly. I don't have the exact time that he starched him. I should have wrote that down before I started. Maybe I can quickly pull that up here on my laptop. Depending on how fast the internet loads. I'm almost there. Stay with me. Baby, don't go. Alright, so what was that, Walt Harris? When did he finish? Finished in 50 seconds. So that's pretty impressive. So yeah, let's get him a good fight. Let's get him a top 10, top 15 guy somewhere. Coming this next fight is between Brad Katona and Merab Devalishvili. I definitely fucked that up, and I'm sorry. And essentially Merab who's fighting a Canadian, hometown guy in Brad Katona, I believe is Ultimate Fighter winner. And he looks promising, definitely, is a young guy and definitely has some potential and deserves to be in the UFC, I believe. But he was just outclassed this fight versus Merab. He just had better striking. The first round had a takedown. Almost finished him at the end of the round there. Second round just had better ground pressure, and round 3 is more the same. And yeah, obviously just got he didn't get dominated, but Merab definitely won all 3 rounds, and all 3 judges scored at 30-29 or 30-27, just like I did. Bummer getting your first loss for Brad Katona in the UFC on his pro career at all, especially in front of his hometown. But it is what it is. I'm sure he'll live on to fight another day, and it seems like he welcomes the challenge. He welcomed this challenge, and he said he's either going to learn, or he's either going to lose and learn, or he's going to win and learn. So I think this guy is I don't even think he said that word for word, but he said something like that. And I think he seemed like he had a good head on his shoulders. So I look forward to seeing both those guys fight, because Merab looked good as well. What fight or division? 135, yeah. So next fight was between Cub Swanson and Shane Burgos, and I actually bet on Swanson this fight. Because I forgot who the fuck Shane Burgos was, because I didn't do my research, as I said earlier. I seen Burgos fight before, and I knew he was legit. He just didn't have a number by his name, and I forgot his name. Obviously, Cub Swanson's been doing it for the longest time. And he had, I believe, he was on a 3-fight losing streak, and this made it 4. So that sucks. As far as the fight itself, round one I gave to Swanson. I thought he just had more output. And Shane Burgos did have good striking, but I thought Swanson just was throwing more, landing more, just more aggressive fighter. Come second round, I thought that was definitely Burgos' round. He had more output and damage overall, and it looked like he was definitely starting to get the best of Cub Swanson. Round 3, Cub Swanson looked good at the start of the round, came out pretty good. He tried for a takedown, and I think that kind of just didn't gas him, but it kind of took the wind out of the sails. And it kind of stopped that fresh start he had at the beginning, and it kind of stopped his momentum once Burgos was able to defend that. And Burgos is a tough guy, man. He's really smooth in the striking department, good footwork, chains his strikes together really well, and he's big for 145, man. He was noticeably bigger than Swanson. I wouldn't be surprised if Burgos walks around. Definitely wouldn't be surprised if he walks around 170 or 180. And I wouldn't be surprised if he was about 160 to 165 when he was in there Fight Night. I mean, he just looked like a weight division above Swanson in there. His body is just so much bigger, and that definitely played an advantage here. Round 3, Burgos finished really strong. He just stalked down Cub Swanson there towards the end. Threw a flying knee at the end a couple times to try to finish it. Showed he's legit. Beat a legit guy in Swanson, and I want to see Burgos, now to have a number by his name and, potentially, not potentially, but definitely start to fight some ranked opponents in 145. Get some fresh blood in there, because Holloway's pretty much wiped out the division, but I'm not saying we should feed this guy to Holloway right away, but I definitely see the potential for him to maybe fight for the belt one day at 145. Again, sucks. Swanson, now is his 4th loss in a row, but it is what it is. The judges scored it. One judge scored it 30-27 Burgos' favor. I could see that. First round was close, and I am biased. I had Swanson. I had money on him, so I gave him the benefit of the doubt that first round. The other judge scored it 29-28, just like I did for Burgos. And then the third judge scored it 30-27 in Cub Swanson's favor. It was just absolutely ridiculous. There's no fucking way Swanson won all 3 rounds. No way he won the second. No way he won the third. Maybe the first, but that's it. So whoever that judge is, you should be fired. You should have your license revoked. I don't know what the fuck you're watching. I don't know. Get your eyes checked. Somebody check that guy out. Or lady. They obviously don't know what the fuck they're watching. I think anybody that, even if you've never seen a fight before, you don't like fighting or anything, and they score by round, you're gonna say there's no way that you gave him the second or third round. There's no way. Are you fucking high? Even I don't get that fucking high, man. I get pretty fucking high, but I don't get so high that I can't fucking see when a guy's kicking another guy's ass and I say, oh, the loser won. Like, come on, bro. Anyways, it was a good fight, good showing for Burgos. I hope Swanson can bounce back, but I think it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. Main event was between Derek Brunson and Elias Theodorou. It was a tough fight. I like Theodorou just because he's so awkward and unorthodox with his striking and his movement and the way he tries to. Yeah, he's just a tricky guy, and it definitely looked like his game plan was, and he said this in like post-fight or pre-fight interviews, that Brunson oftentimes just charges in too quickly, and that's where I'm gonna catch him. He's gonna come forward, all he does is pressure forward, and I'm gonna catch him with his fancy shit. And it's pretty clear right away that that's not how Brunson came out and fight. Derek Brunson had been training with Henry Hoof for this fight, I believe. So he definitely got some strike, because Brunson's a wrestler, and he got some striking expertise passed on to him from Henry Hoof and their team. Forget where they train out of, so my apologies. But I think it was clear right away that Brunson was very calm, level-headed, and just patient. And as the fight went along, this frustrated Elias Theodorou, because that was his strategy, and it was definitely apparent. He throws out, these jabs and sometimes even leg kicks and spinning attacks that he's not even throwing full throttle. He's throwing it so you try to counter him, but he's going to counter your counter because he's very slick in his movement, and he has the skills to do it. But first round, Brunson did have a takedown. He was pretty patient, as I said before. There wasn't too much trading back and forth on the feet, but because of the takedown, I did give him the round. As I said earlier, I don't think the takedown should just give you the round, but if nothing else happens of that round, then yes, it does. In my opinion, nothing really happened that first round. Theodorou did have some leg kicks and looked like he was trying to chop away that front leg. But I thought the takedown and the patience and the was just more for Brunson that round, so I gave it to him. Comes second round, I don't think Brunson did really anything. He was too patient this round. He didn't go for any takedowns. And Theodorou is landing. It was mainly leg kicks, but he's still landing, and it still counts. He just had more output, so I gave the second round to Theodorou. Come third round, it was all Brunson. And it was very obvious that Elias Theodorou was very frustrated, and you could see that he didn't. I don't know. I was gonna say you could see that he didn't think he would win, but that's definitely not the case. I think you could see that he was visually frustrated, because he fought a guy that was different than the guy he probably watched on tape or his coaches watched on tape. He didn't do anything that he said he was supposed to do. Brunson usually charges in with reckless abandonment, with some good strikes, heavy strikes, overhands, and, very aggressive wrestling style. And he was super patient this fight and kind of just let Theodorou come to him, because Theodorou likes it when people come to him, and he tries to counter their counters. But it almost looked like Brunson was trying to counter his counters. So he kind of had a stale match there the second round, but come the third round, he had a couple takedowns. Brunson had a power takedown in the third, and I think that alone won the round. There wasn't too much that Theodorou did that third round. Brunson literally picked him up from the cage. They were against the cage, grabbed him, picked him up, threw him over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, and slammed him on the ground. If that was a sack of potatoes, it'd fucking turn into mashed potatoes there. It's fucking powerful. I couldn't. Oh, God, dude, that would hurt so bad. He drove his shoulder right through his ribs and his midsection straight in the ground. It's just fucking textbook and just great takedown. So I gave that third round to Brunson. As far as the judges, two of them saw my way, 29-28. They're in Brunson's favor. Third solid, 30-27, Brunson's favor. I can see all three rounds given to Brunson, I guess. Second round was close. It wasn't too much, but I think literally Brunson did nothing that round. I don't know what the numbers were. I'm not even going to look at it, but either way, Brunson won, so congrats. He was number 8, so let's see if he can get a fight versus a top 5 guy in the division. If not, then definitely top 10, obviously. And then last, but definitely not least, the main event, why we're here. Once this fight was announced, even though I was rooting a lot for the Cowboy versus McGregor fight, I was really glad this was going to happen. How can you not be a fan of Cerrone? How can you not be a fan of Rage now? And although Cowboy had been on a streak, ever since his son Danger had been born, I knew he'd come out with a fire and focus like he had been in his last couple fights. But Iaquinta is legit. And I didn't place a bet. After watching the fight, I definitely wish I did. But hindsight's 20/20. This fight did go the full distance. But come the first round, I thought I scored this a lot closer than the judges did and the commentators were talking. I thought the first round, although Cowboy definitely had the higher output, I don't think they were as damaging strikes as Iaquinta. I thought they had more significant strikes, more damaging strikes. Cowboy did a lot of leg kicks. And he did have a knee versus Al when Al went for a takedown. That was pretty big, and that was probably the biggest moment in the first round, and where I contemplated giving Cerrone the first round just because of that. But ended up not. If I watched it again, I don't know. I might score it differently. Who knows? But, so I gave the first round to Al, but I agree with anybody that tells me they gave that to Cowboy. Come the second round, I thought it was just more of the same. I didn't think too much happened. Cowboy did have some late kicks, but he did get wobbled by some of Al's powerful shots. So I gave the second round to Al Iaquinta. I thought that was definitely his round. Then come third round, it's just like a flip switch, essentially, for Cowboy. He knew it was the championship rounds. He had been training for this, he had definitely been training for this fight. And now Cowboy's determined to get that title shot. So I think he was ready to turn it up. He's like, all right, championship rounds, let's go. I want to be the champ. Here's where I'll show it in these 3 rounds here. And that's essentially what he did. Third round, he had more strikes. He actually had a knockdown in the last seconds of that round. So I definitely gave that round to Cowboy. Come the fourth round, just more of the same, more strikes, more pressure, more output. He had a nasty front kick to the face, which was an early knockdown that round, which if you pay attention to fighting and things on social media, that picture is up there everywhere. And if I can find a good image, and respectively to the image size that they allow for my podcast as far as the dimensions, and if it fits correctly, I will add that picture as this episode title or whatever, or this episode pic or background or what have you. Essentially the same the fifth round. There wasn't any crazy damaging strikes, but I thought the Cowboy definitely outpointed him, won that round, so I gave the last 3 rounds to him. Essentially his entire fight, now that I look back on it, in hindsight, it was essentially Cowboy's combos and his combinations and stringing his punches together versus Al's one power shot every now and then. It was essentially trading one power shot for, 10 punches. Not that there were 10 punch combos, but he'd have 4 punch combo, and then dodge Iaquinta's one significant strike and then hit him with another 4-5 combo. 4 to 5 strike combo, while Al might have tagged him once within those 10 punches. While that one punch looks more damaging than the combos, the accumulation of those strikes over, especially 5 rounds, just does more damage overall, and that's essentially how this fight played out. As far as the judges, all three judges did score in Cowboy's favor. Two of them scored at 49-46, so they only gave one round to Al. I'm guessing that's second. And the last judge gave it 49-45. So he gave one round to Al, but he gave a 10-8 round to Cowboy. I'm curious which round that was. I'm guessing the fourth, because he did dominate him that round. But who knows? And yeah, that was essentially the fights for that night. Not essentially, it was, motherfucker. Fight of the night was Cowboy versus Iaquinta. They got the performance bonus there, and I don't know if I mentioned it earlier, but Walt Harris also got a performance bonus for his 50-second knockout. So that's the performance bonuses. And last but not least, I'll talk about some recent news. Well, first, there was an Imvicta. And Imvicta, if you don't know, is a women's MMA league. They hold just women's fight, which is pretty cool. And they have more divisions. I think they have an atomweight division, which is like 105. And they have 115, 125, 135, and a 145-pound division as well, I believe. Don't quote me on that. But the reason I bring it up is that they had their first ever tournament. It was a strawweight tournament, so 115 tournament. And it was pretty cool. And the main reason I want to bring it up is because the format. Originally the tournaments, if you watch it in the beginning of the UFCs, and this is a one-fight tournament. That's why I'm bringing this up. Bellator's doing the tournament, but it's over several months, and it's taking forever to actually name a champion, and blah, 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 blah. But this was cool. It was all in one night, but I was a little worried, I'm sure most were, because it's like in the first UFCs, they had these tournaments, and guys are fighting 3-round, and the first couple was on-round fights. There wasn't even time. They just fought until there was a winner, until somebody gave up or somebody threw in a towel. But for this, it was pretty cool. For the quarterfinals, it was an eight-fighter tournament. So quarterfinals the first round, semifinals the second, and then the finals. In the quarterfinals and the semifinals, they had a one-round fight, and that's it, which I thought was pretty cool, because instead of taking, if you do three-round fights, you got to do the quarterfinal, semifinal, and the final, you're going to be fucking battered and definitely have CTE after that. You're going to have some kind of, concussive head trauma or, prolonged trauma that's going to, could possibly affect your career. But essentially, they did the one-round fights in the quarter and semis, and I thought it was fucking perfect. I don't really want people to do, multiple fights in a night. But if you are, I think this is the way to do it. Because essentially, if you get to that championship fight, the most rounds you'll fight in the night is 5. Because they did 1 rounds for the first 2, quarter and semifinal fight, and then the third and final, finals match was a 3-round fight. So each lady had the first round fight, and then it was also cool if they said if you finish the round in that first semifinal fight, you got to pick who you got to fight against the next, and that did happen. One lady did get I believe it was an arm bar. So she finished her fight in the first round, so she got to pick her opponent in the semis, and obviously the other 2 would fight each other. I forgot the name of the individual that won, but congrats to her. But the main reason I bring it up is because I thought it was a great way to do a tournament in one night. And if they do a 165-pound division in the UFC, that's how they should do it, man. Especially for some of the killers up there. Could you imagine taking like a McGregor, Habib, a Cowboy, maybe even a Tyron Woodley, a Ben Askren, Kamaru Usman? Yeah, that's too many guys already, though. I don't know. But imagine taking, 8 of the top guys from 155 and 170 that think they have a shot at 165. Imagine taking them, maybe 4 from each, and they all go at it for a round apiece, and then, I don't know, I think it'd be great. But to close this out, the last news announcement it's not like an announcement like I'm breaking news, but essentially they announced that Daniel Cormier will be fighting UFC 241 August 17th and having a rematch for Stipe Miocic for the heavyweight championship of the world. So it's been declared that Brock Lesnar won't be fighting the UFC, and definitely not for the foreseeable future. Who knows? We'll come back later. I don't think he should. I'm glad he's not, honestly, because I think it was going to be bullshit that he would be able to fight for a title fight after doing fake wrestling over at a scripted organization. Obviously, you need to be an athlete to be able to compete and perform in those and, travel around the country 300 days, out of the year. But, it's not fair to the other guys, especially Stipe, who had been the longest reigning UFC champion in history. He had defended the belt 3 times. So I'm glad this fight's getting made again. It'll still be a while before we get to see it. Obviously, it's May 6th right now, so not till August 17th, so we got a couple months. I'm excited it's made, and I can't wait. Can't wait to watch, can't wait to break it down. So with that, I'll be closing this out. I will be having a preview episode later in the week for, UFC 237, Rose Namajunas versus Jessica Andrade out of Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Sorry, damn coffee. And that is on May 11th on a Saturday. Early prelims will be on ESPN Plus at 6:15 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also check those out on UFC Fight Pass if you got that. Prelims will be at 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN on cable. And then come 10 o'clock will be the main card on pay-per-view, of course. So I really look forward to these fights. Obviously got the challenger fight, or title challenge. We got the title fight. We got Jared Cannonier versus Anderson Silva fighting the co-main. And before that, we got Jose Aldo versus Alexander Volkanovski. That's honestly the fight I'm looking forward to most, besides the title fight. Thiago Alves is fighting for Francisco Trinaldo, Diego Ferreira, Rogério Nogueira. I think that's Little Big Nog. Betch Correa, BJ Penn, Clay Guida to start out the prelims. That's fucking crazy. Warley Alves, Priscilla Cochiera. And actually the early prelim fight, you got a ranked match in the 135 women's division between number 15 and number 11. So it should be a great night of fights. Can't wait to do a little research on these ladies and these guys and get that out to you motherfuckers. Again, love you all, and hope you have an amazing day and life.